listening to the MLB DFS podcast with hosts Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook podcast here, previewing Friday's 13-game main slate. James, my friend, how we doing?
Doing good. Happy freaking Friday, John. That's what I got to say. Interesting 13-game slate. Some top-end talent, obviously a pitcher at the top, and some pretty good spots as well. So it's going to be an interesting slate. Do we have cores going?
We do.
From the fantasy
White Sox versus Rockies here.
From the Fantasy Alarm Twitter the other day, I was told I was
hating on fun.
Yeah, I was hating on fun. I'm not so sure that's true. I would say more people these days tend to lean with the side of cores on 13-game slate. Stinks, but what do I know? 13 games, we have cores, we have to deal with it. Let's get it.
Yeah, let's get into it here. Before we do that, shout out to our friends at Real Time Fantasy Sports. rtsports.com/alarm. Promo code alarm23. New users will get a 100% deposit match up to $200. You can partake in our DFS pick and plays that we put out on YouTube each morning, or if you're into the best ball or seasonal fantasy football realms, they have plenty of tournaments that you can take place that I'm part of right now using that deposit match. So go check it out. Scan the QR code on the screen, or go to rtsports.com/alarm. Promo code alarm23 there. James, taking a look over at this DraftKings main slate. Of course, the game between Detroit and Cleveland was postponed, but they've left up the red here. So I imagine the DKUI will eventually solve itself out. So don't be worried by Gavin Williams and the rest of the Tigers and Guardians players being in red. They're not. They're playing. So
there is times where it's something I guess we have to monitor. There is times when they do the double headers, they just take this game off the slate.
I guess
we might only have 12 games.
If they do a double header on Friday, there is a good chance that maybe this game gets moved off. Otherwise, they could decide to move it forward for the Saturday slate. So we'll see what happens. I mean, even their note here doesn't make sense. This game has been disabled for the 8/18. I mean,
I guess they're predetermining.
Pre-canceling? Is that what they did? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, then you called it. I thought they had a UI issue here. So Detroit, Cleveland not on the main slate now. So 12 games for us to look at here. If that ends up being the case, then so interesting. Some fun matchups to watch. We have Red Sox Yankees.
Yep.
I'm a Red Sox fan. You're a Yankees fan. So we have that little thing going on for us here. We have San Francisco in Atlanta, Milwaukee in Texas, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Seattle, Houston. Mets, St. Louis continues their series. We talked about White Sox and Coors. Tampa Bay, LA, Baltimore, Oakland, Arizona, San Diego continuing their series, and Miami and the Dodgers rounding it out there for the slate, sir.
Yeah, I mean it's a fun slate. I like the pitching options. I like the attacking some of these pitching options. We have cores, so naturally we have some high totals. I'm trying to pull up what is cores open at. So it opened at 12.5. Heavy lean on the under 12.5. Michael Kopech versus Peter Lambert there. That's the only really big notable spread on this slate, John. So,
yeah.
Should be a fun one regardless.
It should be. Let's take a look here at the pitching then. Strider's 12-7.
Yeah.
Going up against San Francisco. We have Woodruff here against Texas at 10-9. Lopez at home at 10-6. Your top three priced pitchers on the slate. How would you prioritize your pitching spot from them?
So I could see myself getting to any and all of them. I guess it depends on how you're approaching the slate offensively, but obviously getting to Strider makes a lot of sense. He has massive strikeout appeal. Yes, he hit a little rut, and yes, he can be hit at times. He was dominant in his last start against the Mets. He was dominant 2 starts ago against the Angels. And 4 of the last 5 starts, he's given us 26 fantasy points. Is that enough at 12-7? You probably need the higher end of that. You need the 30s. To really pay it off. But San Francisco, we've outlined a lot. They've been one of the worst offenses in baseball against both splits. So I like Strider. Texas has been good. We just saw them get shut down. Woodruff has been really good. And his
Right.
2 starts back and his 2 starts prior to the injury, he's just been really good, really consistent this year, 20-plus fantasy points in all 4 of his starts. You want to get there, it's fine. But ahead of him, I'd put Pablo Lopez. 10-6, I know is expensive, but he's been really good lately for a guy who had been really inconsistent for a lot of the year. I think we finally hit our stride. 5 straight starts of 2 earned runs or less, including back-to-back shutouts, 13 straight innings of scoreless baseball. He has 15 strikeouts over that span. He has 7 or more strikeouts in all but one of his last 7 starts. There's a really high ceiling for Pablo Lopez, and he faces the Pirates, who Pirates do have some hot bats like Brian Reynolds and
Yeah.
These are both doing really well of late, but those 2 guys are not going to take me off Pablo Lopez, who's
Sure.
been one of his mind right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. Woodruff would be my fade here. I understand what you're talking about, but Texas is just too dangerous of a lineup. I bet you'll get 5% or fewer in on Woodruff there.
Agreed.
Next tier below, you have Michael Lorenzen here coming off of his no-hitter against Washington, who he no-hit in that game.
Right.
He's at $9,200. Sandy going up against the Dodgers, coming off of a complete game for him. Maybe starting to turn a corner.
Sure.
Big game against Tampa Bay, 8 shutout, roughed up against Texas, but then goes against the Yankees. Now, the Dodgers offense is better than who he's faced here, but definitely a little bit more of the old Sandy versus the Sandy we've seen most of this year of late.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to get there, but it is. I'm happy you mentioned it because it is good to see. Like it's Cy Young Sandy is seemingly back, and I could definitely get to Lorenzen. It's always worrisome when you see a pitcher throw 124 pitches. Well, how are they going to react? I do think that is playing a large factor in why he is getting 8 days in between starts. Right, like you throw 124 pitches, make sure that guy's arm is still on his body. So. Yeah, I'm okay getting to Lorenzen. Even in 27 outs, he had 5 strikeouts. That just goes to show you who the Nationals are.
Yeah, for sure. I don't love this next mid tier though. I don't know if anybody sticks out to you. I mean, Brian Bayo has really struggled lately. The home run balls we've talked about is really starting to get to him. I know it's the Yankees, so you tell me: does Brian Bayo pitch and shut down this Yankees lineup the way he's current form? You have Miller against Houston, Gibson against Oakland could draw some rostership, but Oakland's got some guys that have been kind of hitting a little bit lately. We've been stacking against Gonsolin a lot. We're not playing Cobb. Lugo got hit up by the Diamondbacks last time. Heaney left because he was sick in his last start. He gets Milwaukee. Is that where we go? Is Heaney the next guy? Like, where do you find yourself rocking this mid tier?
So I'm okay getting to JP France. I understand J-Rod season is in full effect. He went 5 for 5. I mean, yeah, it's been insane. But France, he gets put in the bullpen for the Yankee start, and when Urquidy came back, and then they're like, we can't do this to this guy. He's been too good. And then he comes back. He's just like, yeah, probably should have done that. And fires another 7 innings. Again, Seattle's offense has definitely been good. I'm not saying they haven't, but I'd be okay getting to JP France. I largely agree on everything else you said. Brian Bayo is a wild card because the Yankees offense hasn't scored in 2 games. Right. And it's been more so like 2.5 games that they haven't scored in since. Like they scored against Max Fried early and then never scored again.
He's pitched really well against Bayo. I mean, Bayo's pitched really well against the Yankees. 2 starts against them, just 3 earned runs over 14 innings with 11 Ks. So, if he can just avoid the home run ball, and obviously they're in Yankee Stadium, there's a lot of guys in that lineup that can hit home runs in Yankee Stadium, Stanton, Judge, to name a few. So that's my lone worry is just recent form. Bayo's had a guy that was such a ground ball machine, throwing that hard sinker. It's been left up, and teams are smashing him right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're worried about that, which it's a valid reason to be worried, I just like you said, you pivot to Heaney. Maybe you pivot to Lugo, who looked good upon his last start against Arizona. Gets Arizona again here, but I don't think if you are worried about the Bayo thing, and no one else in this like mid tier, I like. I know Mark's gonna ask us about the Kyle Gibson game. Are we gonna get another random good Kyle Gibson start? Because he does give them like every so often. I mean, we've gotten
Yeah,
28 fantasy points or more from Kyle Gibson 3 separate occasions
he's
this year.
faced him once already, 6 in the third, and earned run allowed in that game.
But I don't think I'd go there. It's just I know that was more so a shout to Mark, paying some respect to Mark and his Kyle Gibson random. I think he's guessed Kyle Gibson correct twice in those big games. So
Yeah, he has. Tony Lucchese back in the majors, good for him after coming off the IL here.
mhm.
I mean, there's
Someone's.
nothing. There's nothing here.
You don't
Right?
think anyone's gonna fight for our money here, John?
Would you pitch Andre Jackson here? Like
Sorry, Miss
pitch count up to
Jackson.
78 pitches last time out. Definitely some
Um,
strikeout upside with this guy.
if I did, I would listen to Miss Jackson for the entirety
Sorry,
of
Miss
his
Jackson.
start. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Well, it's called Mrs. Jackson, but
Oh,
sorry, Miss
sorry, Miss
Jackson is
Jackson.
yeah. It's same song, but I would just put it on loop the entirety of his outing. That's how I feel. No, I would. I would. I would. I think if I were to use anybody here, it would be Brennan Fott.
Fought. Okay.
He's been okay. He's been like better since being recalled. You know, 2 of his last 3 starts, he's had 16 or more fantasy points. He just faced San Diego. We've talked about it. Like San Diego is kind of a dumpster fire, dude. They've been a mess. Their offense has not been clicking every night. Like it's been very up and down. He struck him out 8 times in 5 2/3 last time around. So I would punt with Brandon Fott if I'm punting with anybody down here.
Okay. I have just mild interest in Jackson. I think.
Okay.
Just, but he's just, I mean, he's just so cheap, so it's kind of why. But he hasn't been terrible in like their multi-inning role that they've given him. The fact that they did get him up to 78 pitches in his last start, I think, is something to watch. I know Minnesota has a ton of home run power, but they also strike out the most in baseball against right-handed pitching. So something to watch there. All right, catcher and just top infield pitchers in general. What are your immediate go-tos here? William Contreras gets Heaney and a lefty. Cal Raleigh keeps hitting a bunch of home runs, finding himself going there. Wilson Contreras against Lucchese at $3,900 feels pretty strong. What are your thoughts?
Pretty much everything you said. I'll add Yanier Diaz against Bryce Miller. He's been really good against right-handed pitching. If you're not playing Andre Jackson, Ryan Jeffers has also been a guy who's hit right-handed pitching extremely well this year. If you want to go there, Kinzer, if he's in the lineup, he gets a lefty. And that's probably it. Maybe
Betancourt against a lefty, maybe?
yeah, maybe Bethancourt, maybe some Connor Wong against Johnny Brito. We know there's been some bad Johnny Brito starts this year,
Yeah.
and they've happened at Yankee Stadium. Both times he's got lit up for like 4+ home runs or just a lot of damage. It's been at Yankee Stadium, so I wouldn't put it past Connor Wong to put one out against Johnny Brito.
Okay. Moving then over the rest of the infield here after catcher. First, the short. What's your top spend ups?
Top spend ups. I guess they're not like our typical spend ups here, right? Because Seager has Woodruff, Freeman has Alcantara, Austin Riley and the Braves has Alex Cobb, and that's only tough because Cobb can keep the ball down pretty well. Bryce Harper is interesting here, first base only, coming off the double dong. Joanna Don has actually been okay, but he's coming off an injury. Do we want to get there? Zach Geloff. I mean, look, he's 5,400, and I understand that's insane, but like, guy's been really good of late. I wouldn't mind getting there, just because of Kyle Gibson's like inconsistencies. Pete Alonso gets Zach Thompson. You and I profiled Zach Thompson on the Thursday live stream. He's been good of late, but he struggled as a starter last year, and that's what they're stretching him out to become a starter. Pete Alonso, one of the hottest hitters in baseball.
Goldschmidt's there against Lucchese.
Yep. Same thing with
Costas, probably have to play Costas, right? He homered again. He hit a 430-foot opposite field home run. He now has the most opposite field home runs over 400 feet this season. So just
guy has light tower power.
Very strong. Very strong, man. Again, 20th home run hit today. Been on fire lately in general. Second half, I think he has the most home runs in baseball since the All-Star break. Now he's in Yankee Stadium against Brito. It feels like Costas at 43 feels pretty locked to me.
What about there's only like 2 infield spends and cores. Thoughts on McMahon or Tovar? They're 5,000 and 4,800 combined, or respectively. They're the only Elias Diaz, I guess, 4,500 too. Would you play McMahon or Tovar?
Yeah, I don't mind McMahon. I know Tovar's actually had some more power lately too. We generally think McMahon with the power, but I'm fine with both of those guys there.
Yeah, Tovar hitting 350 over his last 10 games too.
Yeah, where's Tovar? Short?
Yeah, 4,800. He's expensive.
Yeah. I mean, he was one of the top prospects in their organization. He's come up and finally starting to show it, right?
Yep.
Round it out. So I could get there. I don't think much of Kopech, so I'm fine. Abrams is at 46, getting expensive, but Lorenzen, like you said, how's that arm feeling? Tommy Edmonds at 41 against the lefty, a spot we really like going to here. Let's see. Pablo Reyes keeps homered yesterday.
It is what it is. It is what it is at this point, right?
0 for 2 so far in the game that they did for the Thursday afternoon game there. So that one's not over yet. A lot of runs scored in that game. It's 9-7 Nationals. So still a lot going on in that one. But yeah, Reyes obviously has been pretty wild here. What other value options are you looking at in the infield?
Josh Bell, 3,400. He's been really good.
Yes.
For Miami. And he gets Tony Gonsolin, who we've talked about a lot. And you were talking about it earlier in the year. There was signs of regression, and regression hath come for Tony Gonsolin. So I like Josh Bell quite a bit. You mentioned Pablo Reyes. I don't hate some Orioles like Jordan Westberg. He's been good against right-handed bats dating back to right-handed pitching dating back to his minor league stint. And then I'm sorry, John. I'm gonna attack Andre
Jackson.
Sorry, Miss Jackson here. Royce Lewis has come back and has just been a man on a mission. 3 for 4 with a stolen base in his second game back. He was 1 for 3 with a run scored RBI.
Really have him
in his first game. $3,200 at third base, and at the same exact price, $3,200. Another guy who had a multi-hit game, Edward Julian, had a 4-hit game with 2 RBIs in that same game. Bryce Lewis had 3. He's $3,200. Minnesota, they have our hearts, but we haven't had a lot of reasons to play them, I would say, of late. But Royce Lewis coming back kind of changes that lineup a little bit. And if they're 3,200, I could see a lot of people getting there, especially just with how cheap they are.
Sure.
And I think, and I'm not because it's not to be a bat in a bad way, I'm going to say this, but I think you're in the minority with liking Andre Jackson here. I would guess more people would use Twins than
he's a 5K
Jackson.
pitcher. I don't expect a lot of
right. And again, it's not a bad shout. I just also do like some Twins on the flip side.
Anybody else? Do we think Nicky Lopez keeps it going?
It all depends if he's in the lineup or Vaughn
They've
Grissom.
been playing him over Vaughn Grissom, but I have to figure at some point they give Grissom a start. Maybe it's home. They give him the home start. So
yeah, maybe. I guess Yohan Moncada, $4,000. I know that's probably a little too expensive for but he's okay. Andrew Vaughn, 39. He's okay.
Moustakis is 32 against Ramirez. I think that you can probably go there.
Yeah, Moose has been on the loose for sure.
Yep. All right, let's move to outfield. Acuna 68, Ohtani 67. Judge gets Bayo here. I like the Astros every slate, so I'm not really scared off of Miller here. Kyle Tucker and Jordan, though, both 6K plays.
They should be. They should be 6K. These dudes are. I feel like Kyle Tucker has had 20 fantasy points every night. It's not, but it feels that way at this point. 92 ribbies on the year all of a sudden. Yeah, I like both those
he's been
guys.
a maniac lately. It's just.
I would say we don't know what Tampa's going to do. Have they announced the long man in this game? Erasmo Ramirez is listed as the starter, but he has been very limited. So he is not going to pitch long in this game. 3 1/3. I guess he might. They might use, but he pitched an inning on the 15th. We'll see. But Otani's hard not to get to if Erasmo Ramirez is going to be extended at all.
Sure.
Luis Robert, 57 in Coors.
You're going to get the Coors bumps.
He's going to be probably the chalkiest of all, right?
Julio's been nutty.
Dude.
16 RBI, not counting. Or
no accounting.
Yeah. 5 for 5, 4 for 6. If you spend a lot of money him in like a Roto League auction, you're probably feeling pretty good about it.
You have to be feeling good at this point. And you might have tweeted yesterday, J-Rod season's back, and then you might have been really, he might have seen that tweet and then gone 5 for 5 the next day to just really drive that point home. You know that he is one of 2 players at his age to go 2020 back his first 2 seasons?
No.
Do you know who the other player is?
Who's that?
His opponent today, Bobby Witt. First 2 seasons going 2020. The only 2 players to do that in their first 2 seasons.
Do love Bobby Witt. Not on the slate though, sadly. Can't play him.
No.
Can't play him. All right, mid-tier guys down here. Again, all of Boston will be in play.
Yeah.
All of Colorado, Nolan Jones at 46 feels pretty good. Harris is 45 against Cobb. I know you kind of like Cobb, you said, though.
No. I just think sometimes when he's getting ground balls, he's tough to hit. There has been 11 earned runs allowed by Alex Cobb the last 2 starts, so maybe there's something to be said. Maybe the ground balls aren't coming as often.
Speaking of hot players, Nick Castellanos keeps doing his thing.
Yeah, he has been very good for quite a while.
Ozuna kept his hit streak alive the other day. His story. Sedmal still feels cheap at 43. I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't mind.
Medina's kind of been good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've looked. I know he was like limited, 84 pitches.
I think he shut down the Red Sox when they played or something like that.
Yeah, he did. 5 2/3 scoreless.
Yeah.
He's kind of been good. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
I'm not playing him. I'm just saying that it's kind of been tough to target.
Sure. All right, what else are you looking at down here?
I will just circle a little back to 52 and 51 to Miami Marlins. Soler, Chisholm. With Chisholm back, that Miami lineup kind of deeper. Okay. They're going against Gonsolin. I kind of like that spot.
We've stacked against Gonsolin most of the year.
Yeah. So I would get there. Rest of the 4K position, I don't really have much interest. It's probably then dipping below Eddie Rosario if you're playing Braves, as you mentioned. And then I, went back and looked. It has been a bad stretch for Alex Cobb.
O'Neill gets a lefty.
He's still cheap. Why is he this cheap at 3,600? I don't know. These are a lot of tough spots.
Yeah. If you're not in on Jackson, you'll play Kepler and Wallner. Kepler's been really good lately.
Yeah. Yep. Wallner hit a grand slam the other day, too. Yeah. So they both have that going for them.
They still got
Jordan Walker, 31. No, they're barely playing him. Jordan Walker, 31. He's fine. I don't think. Here's your punt play the other day, John. Would you go back to Gavin Sheets? He's 3K.
I liked him more at 2K.
I know. I figured you'd say that, but I figured I'd also ask.
But he does have a lot of power. So
he does have a lot of power heading into Coors.
Kind of a homer or bust guy there. Let's see. There's really not a lot down here. If you're not even on Lugo, I guess you could play some of these D-backs.
Yep. And Wallner exists down here, so at least we have that for us. He's 24. That's the only. Joey Weimer gets a lefty if you're not playing Andrew Heaney, John. We know Weimer's been. It wasn't the stat the lefty on the road, the Joey Weimer thing, wasn't it? Joey Weimer.
No, it was like Weimer
lefties
at
on the
home
road.
versus a lefty.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe. Well, it is Weimer against lefty, but it's on the road, so we're gonna have to get confirmation if that's
Wallner's 2,400.
Yeah, Wallner's 24, and that's like. I know the Giants led Wade Meckler off the other day, and then they hit him second. Like he's one of the best plays in the minors this year, but I don't think you want to attack Strider. So
I agree with you. All right, let's build a line here. We plug in Strider, or do you want to try Lopez and a mid-tier guy? I mean, if you like, I'll say this: if you like Twins, and I'm not opposed to playing them, they're all super cheap, so we can play Strider.
Let's play Strider
and play Twins.
Let's play Strider and Twins.
Okay, and we'll just plug our Twins in. Lewis at third, Julian at second, Kepler,
yeah.
And we could go Wallner if you wanted to just 4-stack it.
I don't know.
And that gives us $5K a play. We need another pitcher. We could maybe
Heaney.
If we went Lopez, we have 36 for we're gonna spend down a catcher. Betancourt 29.
Yeah, that works. What do we need? First base. Gavin Sheets.
No, you wanted to spend up, so I mean, Tyler O'Neill is cheap. We don't need to spend up in the outfield, right?
No. Why did I don't need to spend up at first. You wanted to Tristan Cassis against Johnny Brito, 4,300.
Cassis. $3,800 shortstop.
We're just not playing cores. That's obviously the one thing that needs to be. I mean,
Reyes.
It's probably Pablo Reyes if we're going to play anyone in this tier.
I mean, that was just a quick way to double spend. I mean, we don't use Lopez. We can get more money to go elsewhere. What would be your mid-tier play?
Probably Heaney.
34. Tovar. Nolan Jones, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe try to get $200 more to get to Luis Robert. You could do, if you wanted to just play cores, you could do Andrew Vaughn at first. He's $400 less than Cassis. V-A-U-G.
Would you rather play Vaughn or Sheets at that point?
Yeah, we could play Sheets.
Get the lefty versus righty matchup there. 5,900 for a shortstop, and we can still just go back to Tovar.
Yeah.
1,100 to play. What was our catcher? A 4K catcher anywhere? Contreras against Lucchesi?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So anyway, we got 4 Twins. We got a mini core stack. And we got a one off of Contreras there for St. Louis. Strider and Heaney. $100 left over.
I dig it.
Not bad. All right, guys, that's a look here at a first look at the 13-game Friday slate. James and I will be back live 5 o'clock Eastern for the live stream. Get us in Discord. Find us on Twitter. We will catch you guys later.